Right, it's unlocker time. What I've done is I've got the old plywood base and top. They're in two sections for some reason. When I came to put them on, they were slightly wider than what it is now. So I trimmed it in the middle, did it tight enough so that I can get that in there, like that. Then hold your spirit level across to make sure it's flush, because you don't want it dipping in the middle. Then I've seen where it's come to and marked each side, and then you can see whether or not there's a gap there, because obviously I had to replace the bottom lat on that side, if I remember correctly, and the curve isn't as it was when it was done, and is stapled from the outside through into the edge of this. So there's a small gap on that half and just on this first section here. So then once I've done that, place it on a piece of plywood. Obviously measure the width of the caravan, so then you know where your template is going to come to. Obviously that's going to be centre where the join is. And then there's a slight angled cut on the back edge, which my jigsaw you can actually, it's the same on any old jigsaw, but my jigsaw you can do an angled cut. But this time I'm doing it in one piece rather than two, for more structural. Once that is on, so there we are. There's still a slight gap there, I didn't get it right, but along this edge it's almost, just again a small tiny gap there, but I'm not going to get it perfect. I can put a bit of filler or a bead across the back of there once it's all done. And then I've got the original fascia, which then gives me, I was able to hold these in position top and bottom, so I can measure what the overall height of the locker is behind the fascia. Then you can measure up from the bottom of this to the top of that and put your mark on, put your plumb mark up, so you can see where it's supposed to finish on each side. Once that's done, again hold your pieces up to your plumb mark and where your height is, and then you can measure up again in the middle of where it is there. Again, measure there, make sure your mark's there. And on this one it was a bit more out, obviously because the curves change, but it was a good 15 mil. But then when I came to put the plumb on, it's actually about 10 mil out of plumb, which means it's more like 15 mil at the back, 15-20 mil. So in the end I measured the end measurement and I measured where plumb was to the middle, and that gave me an extra, where's my tape measure? So overall it was an extra 15 millimeters wide. The other issue is obviously the belly. I then held a straight edge from point to point, and you can see the gap there, so obviously it's not a straight cut, so I had to do like a measurement in the middle and then do like a point rather than a straight. Again, one piece, you hold it in there. I've done it that tight that you do need to bend it to that level. to there. So there we go, that's held in position. I then calculated 9mm and 9mm taken off the overall height, which is about 157 or 53, I can't remember now. And I've cut these uprights. So I've done 6. So one at each end, one at the start of the locker, one at the end of the locker, and the same one at the start, end. And I've also done one in the back, because obviously I'm not stapling through. It's going to be glued only, and it depends how good the glue is. So I'm putting one in the back to prop the back up, and then we'll see eventually how good it actually sticks at the back of there. So, and then on the original you've got a small thin lap that glues to the front there, so I can pin it and glue it. And then what I'm going to do is on these uprights I'm going to cut a notch out so that they then become flush as well, which then means I can screw top and bottom into the upright, and then it'll make it a nice rigid piece on the front, and I can screw into the framework above the window on the baseboard. So that's that. Time to get the baseboard in and screwed, and then we can start to clamp and glue this piece on, get the uprights in, and then we can glue that in as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of foam just on the back edge, just to give the ply something to stick to, only a tiny bit. And then on the front edge, I'll try a little bit of glue, but I don't think it fully touches it. Just on the wood. Few screws in. So there we are. Put pins in it as well because the piece of wood's tilting slightly. I'm not sure if I'd be able to. Might be better just to try and clamp the actual wood across the ply, just so it stops the ply sagging. So that's that done. Now I can put a couple of these in. So I've just marked again where these uprights go. I've screwed this one on and that one on already and glued. That's now dry and clamped straight. The measurement from the floor is there about. So now it's just a case of gluing and nailing these in position. check something then, did I? Nailing this on.
Why?
What are you doing?
Why are you making it?
Yes, I am. What are you doing?
Are you sleeping in here today?
No.
Why? Why are you making a bed than that?
now the glue's dry, it's all done. Time to use yet another template. I've had to trim the side down again, same as the old template for the bits. I did a different size on the openings because for some reason there wasn't symmetrical. So it's roughly correct on the bottom. For some reason the top is slightly over, I don't know why, but what I'm going to do is on a new one I'm not going to cut the holes out, so when I do cut the holes out I cut it to what the frame is. They're symmetrical on each side now. For some reason they're not, like I just said. I basically held that up and I've marked top and bottom. For some reason the old one is slightly shorter at that side than it is this side. Again, the curvature of the roof's probably not the same, so it's not perfectly level across. Even measuring up from the floor, it's still about 5 to 10 mil out. So I've put on a piece of ply and I've cut another piece. Here's one I prepared earlier. So hold it to your marks again. Nice snug fit. It's got a little bit of a wobble in it, but once you clamp it down, it does go nice. So there's only a small wobble in it, which I'm going to pressure glue it from the bathroom and the kitchen side just overnight because I can't pin it. It can only be done by the glue. I've bought some cheap contact adhesive, pound shop, £1.50 to ask, because I know it's not perfect. So I'm going to try and glue it and use the adhesive as well, and then just pressure. I've drawn holes through the middle of them ones, given a good inch either side, so I'm not going to hit the framework. I know where to drill tomorrow when it's dry. Then I can cut them out perfectly with the frame I've done compared to the old one. So now it's just a case of gluing it on. Put the adhesive on first just so I can try and catch any drips. Obviously it's still dripping. I'd rather have too much on than not enough. There we go. Hopefully that dries nice and secure. So I've just done a little pilot hole. I'm now going to cut it out more or less where the framework is, because obviously I'm going to be sanding a lot of the edges, so I'll sand them all nice and flush when it comes to doing that. So I'm just going to go roughly around it first. There we go, somewhere near. I'll just fill that bit, it's ripped a bit of the ply off. So I'm going to leave that for now.